background. That right there is supposed to be the Muskogee flag at a certain period of time. Interesting, right? Kind of look like Muslim. Right here. Right here. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to get into Indian tribal organizations, enterprise. You know, if you want to set that thing up, you know, it's a good, easy way to do it. You can actually do business that way. If you don't want to go through the interior to set up your contract with the interior to get the funding and set up your organization that way, you can also do it through the treasury. Okay. So under the circumstances, I have some information that was sent to me I want to share, kind of figure this thing out in regards to, you know, senses, color, all these type of things. But what I first want to do, I want to start off from when we're not going to take a ride down the social stream. What we're going to do is just get right to it. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to come back and kind of continue from where we ended off yesterday. All right, so let me share my screen. Oh, shit me. Oh, that was the air. Give me a second, you guys. This thing kicked me out. So let me get these things back up. Open. Okay, so so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you a couple things. We're going to look at an example of something. I got to redact this stuff here. Let me redact this stuff here. It's private information, so let me redact it. So we're going to look at an example, right? This is an audit that I had done. I wanted to get these things out just in case, so, you know, just for private information purposes. And we, you know, you don't know who's watching, but this is what you will consider to be a QSIP report. Okay. So in this QSIP report, it's going to break it down. It's going to give a tree and a lot of different angles in regards to how these things are actually done. All right. So under the circumstances, I had to remove the names and things like that. So check this out. Check this out. All right, so this right here is what you would consider to be a securitization research report with QSIP research as well. We blow this up so you guys can actually view it right here. This is what this is. I removed the name. You see the name ain't right there. I removed that name. So we're going to get into the introduction on this, right? Because when we talk about how the system works, if you guys are taking notes, paying attention, playing it back, looking at it, because I can't keep going backwards, but I can refer to those things, basically how the system has now been functioning based on the fact that Article 1, Section 10 has been suspended, I would say, but over this long time, we could pretty much say that the system as it is that was created as these United States of America is probably just something that's we see in name only. So as we pull these other things up, let me go back to this. Where is it at? Well, it's not there. But when I pulled up the one PDF where, the guy that was actually speaking to Congress, he was pretty much stating all these things. So in order not to go back into detail and all that, in a nutshell, it was saying that all what a dollar is under the Mint Act and the Coinage Act is your fixed weight in gold and your fixed weight in silver. Everything else is considered to be some fractional fiat type of currency that is a fraction. When they say fiat or fractional, it's a fraction of what the dollar is compared what the dollar is per the Mint/Coinage Act. Now, remember, when we move forward, I want you to understand, if you guys are going to come up, once I put the link in, you coming up when I'm doing my presentation, let me know in the chat that you want to come up. But at this point in time, I'm going to do something in particular right here. I'm waiting on the brother to show that he's here. Then I'm going to drop the link and then he can come up, because we're going to deal with, in regards to trust, estates, and connected to America and, the people that are here that had these land patents, that are seeking reparations, restitution, the ones that really have a claim because they did own something and they had valid contracts and understandings and treaties with the United States of America. And under the power of appointment, they had a duty to do their fiduciary responsibilities, in which at a certain point in time, they did not. They stopped doing that. And to get out of it, they had to reconstruct the system in order for them not to quietly not honor their duties. When I mean quietly, it's talk about everything else, but what exactly is supposed to be done. Now, just think about this. Based on the people that are actually in representative positions in the United States, as we supposed to be looking at it as a constitutional republic with these three agencies, or these three articles, Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3, and these three departments, right? The legislative, judicial, and the executive. Under that, they have a fiduciary duty. But it being just in name, if it's just in name, then their silence in their realm is not acquiescence. So if they come back and they say, like, for instance, they'll say back to me, well, I got this, and, I'm not going to honor this, and I'm not going to tell you why, and my silence doesn't mean I agree. Okay? So that's them covering their angles. So them not speaking about it is just them avoiding it, so that way they can just do what they do and hope that the people don't catch on, and then I wouldn't say rebel, but then go ask for all of their removal, which it says they're supposed to do. Now, introduction. A securitization audit is an examination of the documents presented for a particular loan and security transaction, and comparing and analyzing them with other available information for the purpose of determining if it has been securitized and if it was of identity, if it was identifying the securitizing entity. Hey. If the security document letter has been securitized and therefore where is it at? Wait a minute, let's go back. If the security document letter has been securitized and there are documents to support an analysis, the examiner having a hard time right now, will also present a computation in approximate terms, the gross profit that the trust would have made from securitizing the subject loan and the time it took for the originating lender to recover from the trust the amount it lent to the borrower, thereby replenishing its funds for fresh lending. Peace, nonetheless. Peace, Rich. All right. The examiner has no interest in the outcome of this examination and will perform his task in the highest degree of professional integrity. All his decisions are exercised with due care and diligence, and his conclusions are based on the documents presented, coupled with the information gathered from the most reliable sources that are available. Where necessary, the sources of these information are cited in this report. Okay, so this is actually the auditor giving his introduction. Okay. Documents presented for examination. The documents that were presented and which were considered in this examination are enumerated and described below. Now, if you guys just coming in, this is actually, I don't see my thing being shared. I don't know why it's doing that. There we go. All right, there we go. So the documents that were presented and which were considered. So if you guys don't know this, this is actually, let me start all over again, securitization research report with QSIP research. This is actually a securitization audit that I did on an account. Not going to tell you what type of account, but this was an audit that I did on an account. Okay. And the names, everything redacted, removed. So there you go. Now, so it doesn't say what documents. Now, this right here is what is considered the QSIP report. Okay. So in the QSIP report, right? In the QSIP report, you have client's name, right? This right here let me pull it down so you guys can actually see what's going on. Okay. Let me pull this down so you guys actually see. God dang it. All right. Okay, so this is the number searched right here. So that will be the account number. This says keys statistics. Okay, that says key statistics. And this is the symbol. So that symbol will be the ticker symbol. The QSIP, that will be the number right there. We're seeing yellow. The inception date this is when it started. The net assets, this is the net assets. This is $45,179,000. So that account is pulled in the ticker symbol. It's going to give you the name of the fund, the name of the individual, and the account number. All that's in there. This is what it's trading for. Once you pull those things up, you can actually go take a look. So as you see, this is something that actually something that you can actually see. It says right here, blah, 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 seeks a high level of current income, exempt from both federal income tax and Oklahoma income tax by investing in Oklahoma municipal securities that are rated investment grade at the time of purchase of independent ratings agencies. The fund's benchmark is Bloomberg Municipal Bond Index. Okay, so now people say, well, what is this? Well, what I'm showing is that if people think, we all think we just got some basic account, we got a loan for $10,000 or whatever, or we got a car loan for $25,000, $30,000. We got a mortgage for $300,000, right? And boom, that's the number. We got loaned the money. That's it. I'm paying interest payments and principal. I got the thing, you know what I'm saying? And that's just the way it is. But there's a whole lot more to that. You see, these are the things that a lot of people don't really catch and understand. Therefore, you know, you're missing out on the money. Now, it's like you could just be oblivious to it and just be like, well, that's just what they do. Let them have what they have. Cool. But at the end of the day, if you read your documents, you do have beneficiary interest or beneficial interest in those instruments, in those contracts and agreements. Why? Because you signed that. No signature, nothing happening. Okay? So securitization in general. Securitization is the financial process of pooling receivables, such as residential mortgage loans, and using them as guarantee for the issuance of investment certificates, which are sold to the investing public. The collections from the principal and the interest on the loans are used to redeem the certificates and pay for their interest. So right here, it says the collections from the principal and the interest, and that's what you're paying every month, are used by the servicing company that you are paying to redeem the certificates and pay for their interest. So what this is telling you is that, well, this is what it's telling me, and I'm sharing with you, this is what it's telling me. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. It sounds like I am paying the principal and interest for that company. So when we go up, so that's whoever has pulled these receivables, issue investment certificates, and all these different things, right? So all these things are investment certificates and mortgage loans and guarantee for the issuance. Remember, we talked about guarantee, which are sold to the investing public. Now, I know I started at the end, but I want to bring it all the way back because it's saying these things are sold to us. So when you're signing these applications, now this is just me, just common sense thinking and how I can break it down. It sounds like when they're marketing and advertising, they're marketing and advertising to sell us something. They're trying to sell us goods and or services, right? So what are these goods and services, right? Because if you didn't know that these banks and these financial type of companies that come and say, hey, we want to set you up, brokers and all this stuff to get you a mortgage loan, home mortgage loan, so on and so forth, they're actually doing nothing but servicing the loan. They're actually the broker middleman between you and the investor. And that investor is usually the underwriter, or you will see, and then you have somebody else, which you will consider to be the originator of the loan. All right. Now, purpose. In general, the purpose of securitization is to raise money in a relatively shorter period than it takes to collect on the loans. For example, while it may normally take 20 years to redeem 80% of the money being lent to various borrowers from their regular monthly amortizations, the same amount can be generated in as short as 3 to 6 months through securitization. So what they're saying is that they can actually get their money back within 3 to 6 months. That's why most of the time, prior to 9 months, that loan is sold. After 6, it ain't usually 3. Sometimes it's 3. I've had somebody tell me he was doing something for his daughter, and I had her make sure that she made a counter offer on that. I mean, everything went through, but it's a counter offer. I'm telling you, as soon as them documents were signed and she got the house, man, they sold the note in a matter of 1 month. They got rid of that thing. It was like, that's a hot potato. They sold it quickly because that's what they do. Okay, so the money raised from securitization is then used for new lending to other borrowers. The money raised from securitization is then used for new lending to other borrowers for the same type of loans, and the new loans can also be pulled for yet another round of securitization. That's what I was telling you when we was talking about that. Nonetheless, I see you up there, Rod. I'm gonna get with you in a minute. Nonetheless, when I was talking about when I'm talking about the general deposit, special deposit with specific instructions. In this situation, that application is, once it's endorsed, it is a deposit of funds. But the funds are in the form of credit because Article 1, Section 10, Clause 2 has been suspended. So there is no money constitutionally to pay for any type of debts or for anything, even exchange. It's no money really of exchange. It's all money of account. So once you give them that, they actually take the face value of that, right? This is where the OID comes in. They take the face value of that, and then what they do is they monetize. And then on top of that, they take that and then they borrow off of that 10 times the amount. And then that is the collateral. That is what you would call secure collateral for more things that they're doing. The purpose of the securitization had to be achieved over and over again, and the securitization process had to be repeated as many times, but with a certain urgency. These require the establishment of channels through which loans can be quickly pulled into a central operating unit, making them ready for securitization. At first, the network which these channels connected consisted of the central lender and its subsidiaries, affiliates, and correspondents. Soon, small independent lenders joined in the fray. The reach of the principal networks have to be extended. This gave rise to warehouse lending. Securitization, monetization, selling of various notes, securitization leverage, or other type of instruments, etc. Parties. An unusual practice, a securitization trust usually has the following parties: originator, seller, and/or sponsor. Originator is cool. All right. Well, let me just read it. Originator, the party responsible for generating loans for the trust, either by lending themselves or by acquiring them from other originators. A trust can have more than one originator. All right. Next, seller and/or sponsor, the party who pulls the securities/notes from the originators and sells them to the depositor. In some trusts, the seller and the sponsor are the same entity. In others, they are different, while in still others, there is only a sponsor or a seller. When the sponsor is different from the seller, an originator is sometimes referred to as a seller. Depositor, the party who simultaneously sells the security/notes to the trustee. Some early trusts did not have sellers. The depositors acquired the security notes directly from the originators. Servicer or master servicer, the party who services the securities on behalf of the trust. A servicer could have been servicing the securities before they were securitized and could have been the originator or seller or sponsor. Most trusts that have several servicers also have a master servicer. Trustee, the entity who administers the trust. Some trusts only have one trustee, while others have an indenture trustee. Remember I kept saying indenture? An owner trustees. Still, other trusts that have a trustee also have another party who acts as a co-trustee or a Delaware trustee. This is why a lot of these banks and things like that are registered initially in Delaware. Delaware is tax exempt, and you can have all kind of shells on it. Custodian, the entity who, on behalf of the trustee, keeps possession of the assets and records the trust. In some trusts, the trustee or indenture trustee also acts as custodian. Now, what did you guys not notice in this thing? What you didn't notice in this thing is they ain't say nothing about the consumer. They ain't said nothing about the home person getting that loan. This is the whole dynamics of what they're doing. And they already have these things set up. Now, here is a map, what you consider to be a map, how the securitization research goes, right? So you have financial company, you got collections over here. So you got financial company, boom, seller. You see the arrow goes here, financial company, seller, depositor, and then you see the arrow goes back up. So that's the circular motion. There's your 360, how it moves around. And then the deposit goes over here to the securitization trust. And then it comes over here, and there you have the master servicer. Then in the securitization trust, you have the trustee, and it comes down here. You have a trustee custodian, right? That's just sitting there. The depositor goes this way, and then you have it coming this way down to certificate holders, right? These certificate holders are the ones that are actually, investing in this on the stock market. Payment/report certificate holders, master servicer, and see how this comes around here, how the collections come around. And that collections is that principal and interest. That principal is interest is coming down and being conducted by the master servicer, who then comes around with the payment report to certificate holders. And the certificate holders have this connection both ways, right? Now, the certificate holders is also you and me. Why? And we're pretty much in there, the main certificate holder in that pool. Everybody is the main one, and they have their portion in that pool. I'll leave it like that. Okay. The transactions shown in the foregoing diagram are explained as follows. This discussion only involves relevant transactions that affected or could have affected the subject securities and security instruments from granting up to and including those pertaining to the securitization. Okay, so that symbol, the originate transfer the security to the seller sponsor is only through the seller or sponsor from which the depositor acquires the security for the trust. Depositor transfer the security to the trust represented by the trustee. The trust passes information on the security to the master servicer for purpose of collection on the security. The master servicer remits collections to the trust. The trustee performs fiduciary duties for the trust. The certificates are sold to and bought back from the certificate holders. Okay. Okay, this following section is provided, for example, comparing a security to a loan or mortgage to allow for background information to compare to other security interest court cases. Okay. The selling, assigning, or transferring of the agreement should not be confused with the sale of servicing rights, which are just the rights to collect money under the agreement and retain a tiny amount of the proceeds for servicing fees. The term servicing rights is typically used by beneficiaries when they claim that their agreement was sold. Securitizing an agreement, offering credit instruments for sale to the general public or individual investors, known as securitization. Offering credit instruments for sale to the general public or individual investors is known as securitization. So this whole thing that they have that you showed in the diagram is basically already set up. This is why we say everything is already prepaid under the circumstances, because what they're saying right here is that this is securitizing an agreement. Securitizing an agreement. So offering credit instruments, and I'm going to show you that real quick, what a credit instrument is, for sale to the general public. Not a house for sale, not a car for sale, a credit instrument. See, people say, well, no, that car is, they own the car. I think maybe Nani was talking about, no, they own that car. That car belongs, no, it don't belong to them. It belongs to the public. But this is how they flip it around. But even in this situation, if you're doing some 1% type of business, then you understand how to get on the front end of this deal. And they still gonna get paid. But what they're going to do is just get paid for the servicing. So offering credit instruments for sale to the general public or individual investors. So the general public is equal to individual investors. Because it's saying or. You could be either or. Are you coming in as a general public, like the general deposit? Or are you coming in as an individual investor, coming in making a special deposit? Regardless, that offering of the credit instrument is known as securitization. Hold on, you guys, let me clear my throat. All right. I want y'all to stay with me on this. I know it's something you guys ain't used to, but trust me, it's going to sink in. Simple game. All you got to do while I'm talking, just hear me. You ain't got to listen to or just hear me and play it back when you went to go buy that house or you went to go buy that car. Just dealing with those things. For the most part, those are the biggies. But then once you do that, you say, shit, that shit happened every time I feel. Okay, there are numerous considerations with this approach. These stages were often included in the securitization process. So I guess here we go. Let's see if they have is this an example? All right, let's see what this one says. A company will reach a consensus with other organizations over the issuance of a series of bonds for public sale. Alternative alternatively put, the company pre-sold the bonds. See? Right here. I mean, I read these things, I kind of skim through them. But, you know, I don't want to act like I know what I'm talking about. But like I said, everything was prepaid. So if the company, say alternatively put, the company pre-sold the bonds, if everything was sold already. All right, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. Hold on. A bank would be approached by the Wall Street firm, which would typically propose a warehouse line of credit. Now, what do we mean by warehouse? Right? What does the car lot got? A warehouse full of vehicles. For an example. Could be wrong. I don't know. I'm winging it. Sounds like it to me, though, because I'm playing it in my head, too. Due to the original pooling and service agreement, right, or PSA, guidelines and purchase agreement, limitations would apply to the warehouse line. Prior to and following the agreement's sale to Wall Street, these documents describe the processes for the agreement's establishment and administration. Now, just notice that they got agreements with a capital A. That's a noun. That's a thing. Okay? With rules in hand, the bank effectively sought out individuals who met the general criteria of the purchase deal and identified themselves as buyers for the deal. Now, mind you, we're not even included in this. This is already being done before we even get to them. When they get their location, they set up shop and they put them vehicles on that lot, it's already done. It's paid for. All they're trying to do is trying to get these things going on so they can get some other things going on. You know what I'm saying? All right. With the rules in hand, the bank effectively sought out individuals who met the general criteria of the purchase deal and identified themselves as buyers for the deal. So if you look at this sentence right here, they're saying that the bank is effectively seeking out individuals who meet the general criteria of the purchase deal. So who's buying, who's selling? They're selling, we're buying. Because at the end of the day, we are considered buyers. We bought that car, we bought that house, we bought that, and we accumulated and acquired this and whatever we did. They selling us something. So if they're the ones selling us something, is the car dealer on the lot the one that owns the car? No, he's just out there selling. Okay? You got to put your hood cap on, man. Plant your feet. This ain't rocket science. The majority of individuals could meet the guidelines since they were so broad. When the bank had enough money to sell the agreement to the Wall Street company so that it could issue bonds, it would carry out the agreement and collect payments. So Wall Street said, hey, got this for you, this agreement with the capital A. And he said, all right, here's what we're going to do. You're going to get that. You get to go get this line of credit as it's set up there. You'll be able to do this and set up shop in order for you to do what you need to do to seek out these so-called buyers and the general public to buy these things for us so that we can make our money on the back end. Because what is Wall Street all about? Chattel. In order for Wall Street to function, they need people to buy into it. So just like you buying stock, just like you putting your money into this, you're gambling. Now, we're going to go down here a little bit. Now, let's get to the borrower situation, right? Let's come down here. Then we'll move on. Borrower, agreement, contract, title company, escrow, maintains assignment history. That's what title company escrow does. They maintain assignment history, right? So borrower, agreement, contract, arrow down, monthly payments, creditor originator, note was split from the agreement. So when they're doing an audit, this is what they're showing the person paying for the audit. Once the monthly payment starting, the credit originator comes down, note is split from the agreement. Agreement went that way. Note comes this way. Credit originator, boom, right here, this elbow here, note was assigned and transferred. Elbow over here, master servicer, services individual loans, aggregate collections, performs duties under trust, pooling, and service agreement. Down here, seller, purchase loans from originator, forms pool. Depositor creates issuing entity. Right? We'll just come right here. The arrow goes this way to underwriters, sells certificates to investor, collects offering proceeds. We scroll down here. Trust fund, issuing entity, holds pool of loans, issue certificates. Right? So this depositor creates issuing entity. Trust fund. Underwriters sell certificates to investors, collects offering proceeds. Certificates offering, right? Trustee for the trust, represents investors' interest, calculates cash flows. Underlying custodian maintains, come down here, maintains assignments, history, as we go up here, as this arrow goes up here to the underwriters. Now, this is what's going on your little simple little mortgage loan, car loan. Hey, I got the car. I own this thing now. No, you don't. Hey, I own this house now. No, you don't. You have interest. You have rights to title. You are what they call a steward of the land. And you have it in fee simple. You have full disposal of that land based on your titles and interests. But at the same time, the way you register these instruments, you're actually giving other entities, agencies, offices, departments, tenements entail. Like I said about what the definition of a donor is. One who gives tenements entail. So you're giving them some rights to the title to encumber on the land and the estate, because you transfer all rights and titles. Now, I'm going to show you I'm going to show you a I'm going to show you a sample security deed of trust. Show you what this thing look like. Let's go here. Give me like 2 seconds. Let me get this to you. Stay still. Don't move. Don't move. All right. Everybody see that? Let me look at the chat real quick. Everybody good? Everybody good? What's going on? Reclassified. What's going on, my brother? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? All right. What's happening? We just cleaning up this last little part, Rod, and then we'll get to the research on what you sent me. I want to show this. We just, it just got times caught up to us. Now, this is a deed of sample deed of trust. You look up there, it says Exhibit A, deed, right? This is a deed of trust. All right. Now, this was also used in regards to let me pull him up. The affidavit that I showed yesterday of Walker Todd in this case right here. Right? In this situation right here. Okay, so so it's highlighting how many times it uses security instrument. Okay. So security instrument means this document. Borrower is the trustor under this security instrument. Lender is the beneficiary under this security instrument. Right here, note means the promissory note signed by the borrower. Okay. So we got security instrument, we got promissory note. Loan. And all sums due under this security instrument plus interest. Rider means all riders to this security instrument. Periodic payment, security instrument. RESPA means the Real Estate Settlement Procedures Act. This is these disclosures that they're giving you in regards to this title. This is connected to Truth in Lending Act and all your consumer rights. And it's governed under the Fair Trade Commission, right? As used in this security instrument, RESPA refers to all requirements and restrictions that are imposed in regard to a federally related mortgage loan, even if the loan does not qualify as a federally related mortgage loan under RESPA. So this is where you got to take this into consideration when you go look at your deed of trust, the security deed, or however they say it in whatever state you're in. You need to go look up Real Estate Settlement Procedures Act and see if everything was done by way. And if you need to look that up, here it is. And here's the codes right there to go look that up. You guys see that? There it is. Now you see where we got at. Successor in interest of borrower means any party that has taken title to the property, whether or not that party has assumed borrower's obligation under the note and or this security instrument. Now, there's something that's called assuming a mortgage, where somebody could come in and say, hey, I could take over these payments for you, or I can handle these issues in regards to handle in this mortgage under this agreement. Transfer of rights in the property. Listen, this security instrument secures to lender, 1, the repayment of the loan and all renewals, extensions, and modifications of the note. 2, the performance of borrower's covenants and agreements under this security instrument and the note. Now, I think everybody know what a covenant is. Everybody read the Bible. Everybody know about what a covenant, the new covenant, and the covenant is an agreement, a mutual agreement at that. All right. So, right here, to have and to hold the four described property together. See, this is the description, derivation clause. To have and to hold the four described property together with all hereditaments and appurtenances thereunder belonging to or in any wise appertaining unto the trustee is successors in trust and assigns in fee simple forever. Okay. So it says the instrument constituting the source of the borrower's interest in the foregoing described property was one of these other warranty deed, quick claim deed, other regarded. So what they're saying in this derivation clause is that they're recognizing here, based on the warranty deed, that means the transfer of title from the previous owner to you or to me, that I have it under this warranty deed that states and I am to have and to hold the aforedescribed property, its successors in trust and assigns in fee simple forever. Okay. So now, borrower covenants. The borrower is lawfully seized. I'm about to type that in real quick. We're going to come back to it. Okay, so the borrower is lawfully seized. And that's what S of the estate, hereby conveyed, and has the right to grant and convey the property, and that the property is unencumbered except for encumbrances of record. Borrower warrants and will defend generally the title to the property against all claims and demands subject to any encumbrances of record. This is what the whole warranty deed is going to spell out. And then it says this security instrument combines uniform covenants for national use. So these covenants right here, this is where you get into your common law and where your ownership comes in, or where your real interest lies. I'm looking for one last thing, but you see how many times it says security instrument. Charges, liens, property insurance, occupancy, preservation, maintenance, borrower's loan application, protection. Hold on. This is taking too long. All right, here we go. Transfer of the property or a beneficial interest in borrower. Go and read your thing. As used in this section 18, interest in the property means any legal or beneficial interest in the property. Any, including but not limited to those beneficial interests transferred in a bond for deed, contract for deed, installment sales contract, or what I always say, consumer credit installment contract, or a consumer retail installment contract. Make a note of those. Installment or escrow agreement. This is everything that is being done at the time before you close. This is all the agreements that are going on where they're all getting their hands in it. The intent of which is the transfer, which is the transfer of title by borrower at a future date to a purchaser. This is where your beneficial interests come in. Okay? If all or any part of the property or any interest in the property is sold or transferred, or if borrower is not a natural person and a beneficial interest in borrower is sold or transferred without lender's prior written consent, lender may require immediate payment in full of all sums secured by this security instrument. However, this option shall not be exercised by lender in such exercise if such exercise is prohibited by applicable law. Now, you got to notice this right here. Now, I ain't telling y'all to do anything. I'm just saying. You gotta read this. Hold on. 190. There we go. Trying to get to where I get as big as possible so we can see the whole thing. Now, these is all rights and interests for the borrower. If all or any part of the property or interest in the property is sold or transferred, right? Sold or transferred without lender's prior written consent. So that means you can sell it whenever you want to. You don't need their consent. That's voluntary. Lender may require immediate payment in full of all sums secured by this security instrument. This is the thing about private sales for sale by owner. being able, because when you get in these hands involved, then this is where you get the issues going on. Now, later on, I'm going to give you guys some practical things that is just for entertainment purposes of how you can start doing things on your own without involving these people. I'm showing you right here what they're doing. I mean, it's complicated, but this is what it is. Now, it says right here, however, this option shall not be exercised by a lender if such exercise is prohibited by applicable law. Real estate RESPA, what we just said, Real Estate Procedures Act, Fair Trade Commission, Consumer Law, Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, Fair Debt Collections, Fair Credit Reporting. What else? Okay. And you have your state laws as well. If they haven't done the Truth in Lending Act, if they haven't done the proper things, they don't have the rights to exercise anything if everything wasn't right. So what everybody should do, and this is express or invoke your consumer rights. And if you've been put in the corner under duress to be able to go through with the thing, and you really need that house or you want that car, you need that because you got to get to work and move around, move the children, do all this stuff for the family or just for yourself, your own personal use, then make sure that you keep all your paperwork, you look through everything, and you always got recourse if there was some deceptive practices going on. See what I'm saying? Now, going to read this real quick. This is something that came with that case too as well, allegedly. Right? Title, securitization is illegal. This is what it says. This is the author, Michael Nwagugu, certified public accountant, Maryland, B. Arch, City College of New York, MBA, Columbia University, attended Suffolk Law School, Boston, USA. There's his address and his phone number. Sound like you got some credentials. It says abstract. Under U.S. laws, securitization is illegal primarily because it's fraudulent and causes specific violations of RICO, usury, and antitrust laws. Let's go down here. This article focuses on securitization as it pertains to asset-backed securities and mortgage-backed securities, and analyzes critical legal and corporate governance issues. Now, you see right here, it's talking about loans, credit cards, auto receivable, intellectual property, etc. Okay. Okay, let's go down here. Okay, so boom. Corporate governance issue pertaining to securitization is extensive, but have several gaps that have not been addressed at all or sufficiently. Whether securitization is legal, whether securitization causes usury, so on and so forth. It's just repeating itself. Let's get to the meat of it, man. Where you at? Okay, you're seeking to do this and analyzing. All right, we got all that. We got all that. Got all that. Got all that. Got it. Okay, here we go. Okay. Hey, securitization violates usury laws because the resulting effective interest rate typically exceeds legally allowable rates. There is substantial disagreement among various U.S. court jurisdictions and also within some judicial jurisdictions about some issues, and these conflicts have not been resolved by the U.S. Supreme Court. I wonder why. But securitization is deemed where the securitization is deemed an assignment of collateral, the effective cost of funds for the securitization transaction is not the advertised interest cost. Okay, we got all that big word stuff. Let's see if we got anything good in this. All true sale, disguised loan, and assignment securitizations are essentially tax evasion schemes. In the U.S., the applicable tax evasion statute is the U.S. Internal Revenue Code section. You listening, Chameleon? In the U.S., the applicable tax evasion statute is the U.S. Internal Revenue Code, Section 7201, which reads as follows. Any person who willfully attempts in any manner to evade or defeat any tax imposed by this title or the payment thereof shall, in addition to other penalties provided by law, be guilty of a felony, and upon conviction thereof shall be fined not more than $100,000, $500,000 in the case of a corporation, or imprisoned not more than 5 years or both. Under this statute and related case law, prosecutors must prove 3 elements beyond a reasonable doubt. The actus reus, the guilty conduct, or the actus reus, which consists of an affirmative act and not merely an omission or a failure to act that constitutes evasion or an attempt to evade either A, the assessment of a tax, or B, the payment of a tax, right? So the assessment right there is your W-9, your request for statement of account under UCC 9-210, or the equivalent of the state commercial code that you have that will be the same 9210, but it will be maneuvered a different type of way, right? Also, it's your 1099s, right? It's your W-2, your W-2s, your 1099s, whatever it might be, whatever relationship you guys have, 1098s, whatever it might be. Right. So also the mens rea or mental element of willfulness, right? As we say, mens rea. The specific intent to violate an actually known legal duty. So that's willful intent. Okay. In the case of true sale transactions, the tax evasion occurs because A, the sponsor determines the price at which the collateral is transferred to the SPV, and hence can arbitrarily low/increase the price to avoid capital gains tax. It's assumed that the sponsor is a profit maximizing entity who will always act to minimize its tax liability and to avoid any tax assessment. So, as we read in the beginning of the securitization audit, it says specifically what they do. So, bingo, right here. So that's just an example. It's a lot of pages. We don't want to get to that. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do real quick is let me put the link in the chat. I'm on an hour 28. That's decent. Okay, that's okay. So that's the acceleration clause. Okay. And let me I'm going to hold on.
Y el suministro de agua.
I'm gonna put the chat.
De agua.
Boom. I'm gonna put that in the chat. Pin it to the top. There we go. All right, so hey, what's up, Sister Jackie Brown? All right, so I'm waiting for Rod to come up here. We got some things we want to show. He sent me some documents, right? Some documents over here. We want to talk about setting up tribal organizations, business trusts, things of nature, just to give you information and background on the benefits of those things. And, you know, in terms of if you're going to be conducting business and you want to make sure that you're conducting business, with your own people. And then you having land, you got land, property, businesses, offices, all these different type of things. You want to make sure those things are secured. On top of that, you want to be able to avoid probate. So when things transfer, they transfer without any problems. Okay. We're going to come back to the securitization audit thing. Because if you look at that deed of trust is a trust that's being set up. Okay. Okay, so the first thing that he sent me, now just put it in order on a PDF, is dealing with survivor spouse, dealing with that. Let me go ahead and get up out of here. Let me open up the other thing, share screen. Okay, let's go here. Boom. Share screen. Window. Here. Here. What up, Rod?
What's up, brother? How you doing?
Chilling, man. What's going on with you? How's everything?
Everything's decent. Everything's decent.
That's what's up. All right, let's get on it. Let's make this make sense.
Yes, sir.
All right, so what we got right here? So right here, this is this a part of the SS4?
Basically, I just went on ancestry.com and just started following, the directions. So
okay,
I tried to use the SS4, but people ain't got too knowledgeable about it, so
right.
I kind of fell back a little bit.
Okay, so let's break this thing down. Obviously, I ain't got the dang on. Where is the? Am I sharing my screen? Hold on, man.
I'm trying to cut off my face.
Sheesh, I'm trying to figure this thing out. Hold on. Boom, there we go. Boom, there we go. This thing is like rocket science. All right, let's go. Can you see the screen now? There we go. All right, so let's start from the top. Okay, so you went to the archives, right? You say you went to the archives?
Yes.
Okay, what was the order that they gave you in order to get the thing going? I know you mentioned abandoned lands and so on and so forth. So you spit it out good. So let's start from the top.
All right. Basically, I went on ancestry.com and start seeing a lot of information, like my grandfather's financial records, marriage certificates. So basically the vital statistics. So I just start going off of what I see. So once I got on Ancestry, I went to the National Archives and start showing them the records to the administrative office. The lady in there didn't understand nothing I was talking about. But right across the street is the IRS. So I went in the IRS and I felt partial. They told me to hook up a personal computer to an IRS website. So I got on the IRS website and connected to the SS4 and just start messing with the fonts and download it. So I can change my SS4 form anytime I want to. I can modify it, but
right. Now,
I think I might go individual versus tribal, but I want to go tribal government enterprise. But I want to use my information I got off ancestry.com because that's prima facie evidence.
okay. Now, why would you consider going individual versus Indian tribal or enterprise?
Because I'm trying to tell my sister that we Indians and my family members, and they not feeling me. And I tried to, do all the rallying call I could do for about 2 years. Nobody really believed me or will understand what I'm talking about. So as an individual, I got to at least set it up to be a trustee for my family estate. So as an individual, I'm gonna go in there and set up a trust, do everything, the basics, and then when everybody get a understanding or us on the panel come to a conclusion, then I move forward.
Okay, so if you're gonna go that route, what I would do is I would set up both. Set up the tribal government. Set up because they call it tribal enterprise, but it still will be considered a government. Set that up, and then eventually you set an individual up, get that thing started. Then you could connect that. You can actually create your own treaty agreement with the tribal enterprise, and then you'll be able to accept members, which is your family. And basically, you could sell the membership, and they will come in. Trust me, believe they'll come in. Nobody's going to turn down no money, and they ain't going to turn down the opportunity once it's already set up. So, I mean, build it, and they will come. Now, what you do is if you're going to set up the EIN, right, for yourself individually, I'll set it up multiple ways. I would set it up sole proprietorship, S corp, and I would set it up. I wouldn't really do LLC. I would do a sole proprietorship and S corp. And then when you set up your trust, if you want to set up a trust, then you kind of make that trust because you're going to be doing business. You don't want that business trust in your name. Your only trust you have in your name will be like a family living trust that is going to be involved with you and your descendants and what you're doing over there, not the enterprise stuff. Those things are separate, but they all can fall under the umbrella and have that protection. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, but what I did do, I went and got my father's death certificate, and I set up his estate through the IRS, and they gave me this administrative EIN number, and that's what I was planning on to put that in the trust, and then kind of do the Indian tribal government in that way.
Right. Oh, that's what I'm talking about. That makes sense. So when you said they gave you an administrative EIN number, that was under what?
The deceased person estate.
I got you. Okay, so let's go on to
that's the basis. Is that was like a basis of what you could do with a deceased person estate. What you had at first.
Right. So you pretty much got an EIN number under an estate, right? So when they give you an option, you say, well, what type of what do you want the EIN number to fall under? And that's the estate, right? You did an estate EIN?
Yes.
Under the deceased person's name?
Yes, my father.
Yeah, that's proper.
So that's what I was going to establish, a trust, a revocable or irrevocable. And I already set that up through the IRS. They told me to get the bank keep telling me to get a certificate of credit or a certificate of a ministerial letter or letter accreditation.
Yeah,
Happy
it's like
birthday, Pop.
it's a certificate of trust, right?
Yes. So all the banks won't let me open up a trust account because I don't have a attorney and I don't want to use an attorney. So I went in through all my, all the inner city where I'm at, and only one bank allowed me to open up a trust without a attorney.
Right.
So that's where I'm at for setting up
Yeah.
this trust.
Yeah, they want to do that so they could play with your money. You know what I mean?
Right. And
All
this
right.
is
So
the main bank around here that, holds that trust estate. It's a big bank holding trust funds. So I just studied it and it's real.
all right, now this National Archives microfilm publications, right? It's talking about records of the field offices for the state of Alabama, Bureau of Refugees, Freedmen, and Abandoned Lands, 1865 to 1872. What's this?
That's what I'm primarily going after, because I'm going after my father's mother's estate. So that's what I established it through my father. Then I'm gonna capture my grandfather. And that's gonna take me to that time when my grandmother was born down in Mississippi, Alabama. So those were the records and the names and the trust funds and who responsible for establishing those what would you call it? Security notes,
Mhm.
negotiable instruments. So
Right.
that's where the trust fund, it says, I really kind of wanted you to hit with the refugees, freedmen, and abandoned land one, because that kind of break it down for everybody in general.
Okay. So these records of the Bureau of Refugees, Freedmen, and Abandoned Lands, they could be located at these field offices in every state or just certain states?
Yes, that's before they all got sent to Washington, and Washington gave them to the internal of the Department of Interior. So those records that's how they finance America, through those records. Like everything go back to the Freeman records, them trust funds. So they using our trust funds to do business. So if we don't figure out how to manage these trust funds, they can still go in there and grab our trust fund and do whatever they want with our ancestral trust funds.
But don't they have to put it back? They have to put it back, don't they? If these are trust funds, they can utilize, they can borrow, but then they gotta put them back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So we ain't redeeming them. That's they putting them back, but nobody redeeming them.
Okay,
so that's a national debt.
Okay, so let's talk about redemption. Let's talk about redeeming these funds.
Yes, sir.
Your best guess. Your best guess. How is this? What is the first step in doing this? So well, let's
creating
start
a trust. Creating a trust. Because if you don't have a trust, that is, you were using tenders, different tender currencies, and they are very, fragments of what's in the trust fund.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the instruments they got using from our trust fund. So we got to go back, kick them off our thing because they doing bad things with our ancestral trust funds and gain control.
Mm-hmm.
That's my primary objective.
Okay.
So
I see right here.
Mismanaging them and
go ahead.
control. Dissolve
so
whoever mismanaging them and get control. That's the primary objective for me.
okay, so we have down here, I'm got right here, it says United States Congress and the National Archives Trust Fund Board, National Archives and Records Administration. Okay, how does this play in? Is this all connected to the Bureau of Refugees, Freedmen, and Abandoned Lands? Is that all like connected together or just separate?
Nah, that's separate. They all got the data collected, but we don't know how to administrate the info. You know, it's the what's that? The commissioners. So all that stuff is being commissioned now under different Secretary of States through Congress.
Okay. All right, that makes sense. All right, so what we have right here, we have field office records, and it says new. It says the recently filtered, I don't know what that means. Field office records of the Freedmen's Bureau are organized by state. The records are available in the following M-numbered National Archives microfilm publications. If you guys want to take a snapshot of this, you get it based on your area. So Alabama, Arkansas, DC, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maryland/Delaware, Mississippi, Missouri, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, and Virginia. So this is where they're at.
Yeah, that's how I found that Mississippi, the Alabama Fieldhouse records through, and those was in the microfilm. That was
And you found your people.
I found my people on the U.S. Census. Yeah, I know the territory where they was at, but I didn't really get off into that deep into it. I went and found my records, and I know the area where they was. And that's, I ain't really, I just setting up that trust where I can, once I do find it, I'm putting it in my trust. Every instrument.
The interesting thing is, right? The interesting thing is that they have these freedmen bureaus in all these different places where in the beginning, it seemed like the freedmen bureaus was only in Oklahoma, but Oklahoma ain't even on this record. They ain't even in this list, I should say.
Yeah, they wouldn't be in there because they move everybody off those lands and send them to Oklahoma.
Okay. So here's
so if you know where your people was at before Oklahoma, that's how you catch up with your peoples is before Oklahoma.
All right. Yeah, this is some good information. Now, this General Lee Williams, this your people?
Yeah, that's my grandfather on my birth certificate.
Now, I noticed they had him white somewhere. They got him black here.
Yeah, that was on that Social Security joint.
Yeah.
See, I'm white on the money, and I'm white. Like when I went to the Fed, I started expressing who the hell I am, and I'm not black. My people been here since the 1600s. I started spazzing out on the dude questioning me. I came out white, and then I seen white on my grandfather's Social Security information. I was like, oh yeah, I'm ready to get that money. I just need my boy Aton to show me the way.
Yeah, we'll make it happen. Now, this is interesting. I want to come down here. This is his grandfather. Is this your great grandfather?
That's my grandfather.
General Lee Williams, 1877.
Yeah, he was born with Lee. Right, and his mother married into the Williams, and that's how I got my last name.
So he white right here, man. He white. But then up here, he black. What happened?
Yeah, those two different accounts. He got all kind of different. Like he had his own account where he had his own thing going. Then he had one with his woman, with my grandmother. Then I heard he had about 2 or 3 families.
Okay,
So his main account is his, and then when he had with his woman, my grandma, it was black.
Now let me explain something here. This is why people. Okay, so this is what everybody needs to understand how to read these censuses when we're dealing with our people. This is how you know they own land. And this right here is a 1910 United States federal census. It says right here, you go down, native tongue, English. So that means at that time in 1910, he spoke pure, clean English, right? Occupation, farmer, employer, employee, or other, own account. Now, if any of these things say own account, that means he owned the land.
Yeah, that's what gave him that white status.
But right here, they got him as black, though. But still, even then, it could be a manipulation, though, Rod. You know what I'm saying? But if it says own account, he owns the land. Now, when they said it's home owned or rented, that means he probably took out a mortgage on it. He probably borrowed some money off of it. You know what I'm saying? So they put it in that rent category. But when it said, and then it says farm, bam. But they say able to read, no. Able to write, no. I don't know about that.
That's how he got black. Probably because his mother was probably doing all the work for him, the paperwork. He was in the field.
But even then,
he knew how to count money.
In 1910, Rod, he probably wasn't taking those census. They probably was doing that on his own. But at the end of the day, whatever they did say he was working on his own account. That means he owned that land.
All right? That's the count I'm looking for too.
Yeah,
that's the one I'm on that account.
Yeah, exactly. So what you do is you locate beat 3 homes, Mississippi, USA. So that means that beat 3 is what is considered to be his whole area. So whatever beat 3 is, that's his.
Right.
Okay. All right. So what we got right here, this is just him saying he's white. His social security number is blotted out. And this is notes, March 1945, name listed as general.
They leave you your grandparents' social security numbers. So
yeah.
I found quite a few of them in different, variations of his name. Same grandmother, but different variations.
Okay. All right, that's the family.
Yeah, that's where he got the Williams from. See, it says step, step, step down there.
Yeah.
So he originally a Lee. I'm originally supposed to be a Lee, but she married a Williams, and I became a Williams.
Okay. Now, but that's where it's at. Okay, so now you also see here, you got beat 5. So you got beat 5, beat 3. So that means these are all connected. They're all connected. It's just people living on different plots or different plots of that land. You know what I'm saying? Now,
right. His brother had shares. Like had shares. He didn't have his own account. He had shares.
Mm-hmm.
I should have sent you that, but I didn't know you was.
Now, if nobody seen, I see people in there. If nobody's seen an SS4 before, right? Application for employer identification number. This is the application you need in order to get that number, right? If you see it has all this.
I suggest that you get a computer and go to your computer and do it from your personal computer. Get your own computer. You plan on doing your banking and don't be trying to get computer everybody can get on, because they won't even let you go on the public computer. So get your private computer, get you going to the IRS website and get the SS4 and download it to you, and then you can modify the application the way you want to. And it'd be instantly submitted.
Right. Yep. Now, I can't really. I got the PDF here, but I can't. Since I'm live, I'm not going to go to the website. But if you want to go to if you want to do it online, you go to irs.gov, and then you can actually just type in the search engine EIN, and then it'll guide you to how you can get an EIN online. But it's pretty much going to ask these questions. So, the way you set it up, let's just say you set it up like you want to do a trust or whatever, you go ABC Trust. Oh, it's not letting me do it. Okay, so yeah, so you do ABC Trust, and then you set up if you want to set up a trade name of business, you could do that too as well. You have an executive administrator trustee, right? What I suggest you do is in regards to a living trust, that will be that will be your name, or you can call it your last name family trust, or if you want to utilize a family name that is kind of like your matriarch, you can use that last name so it can go back at least 4 generations, and you can connect those dots. You don't have to worry about
all my maiden names. Type stuff.
Yeah. So if you use like Williams or whatever, it doesn't matter. It's all about the date that the trust was created or formed. So it doesn't matter. It could be a bunch of Williams trusts, but when it was formed, that's the only thing that's most important. Now, the address, everything, that's self-explanatory. The name of a responsible party, most of the time what you want to do is you want that to be you, or you want it to be some form of corporation, right? So this is where I say you get a sole proprietorship. You have your name as the sole proprietorship, or you have your name as the S corp, however you do it. I suggest the sole proprietorship, for the basic simple ones. And then from there, you'll have an EIN for that, and you can put that in there. And that way your Social Security number won't be visible. Those are private information. Now you have these options right here. You have these options right here, what type you want it to be. So proprietorship, partnership, corporation, personal, service, corporate, church, other nonprofit organization, other, estate, military, farm. You have everything right here to be able to get all what you need going. And you see right here at the bottom, you got Indian tribal governments / enterprises. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's where I'm going to be right there.
All right. So yeah, it's basic, simple, reason for applying. Certain people say start a new business. Pretty much what you want to check is banking purposes. You always set these things up for banking purposes only. And then you specify it or created a trust, so on and so forth. You know what I mean? And that's pretty much it.
Yes.
As you see, you got agriculture, you have all different things you have in that place. Now, before we take our little intermission break and I could catch my breath, I pulled up this thing right here. I got a call from potential somebody that wants some things done. Here is, and for Rod too as well, and anybody else, here is some information on unincorporated business organization and irrevocable trust management. Okay. So this is 98 pages, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to a spot where we can just pull up basic what it is, how it functions, and what the things is that actually gives it, its meat. Now, when you consider being unincorporated, right? When you're unincorporated, That means that your EIN is registered with the Treasury, but when you're unincorporated, you don't report to the IRS. All of your things that are being done are private. So you can't communicate with the Internal Revenue Service or the Treasury because you're not doing anything for any type of gain and you're not under any type of statutory positions. But you got to make sure that you frame it in the proper place where, it's done properly. And you always want a professional to be able to help you. I'm just giving you some overview, some informational things to kind of get you familiar and get you comfortable with it. Now,
Right.
Let's see here. Okay. So this right here gives you a whole lot of information. What I'll do is, I got to figure out how to upload this stuff in here. I don't know how to do that yet, but once I do, I'll be able to get that. And then, once I'll probably put it in the community on the message thing, you know what I'm saying, in my outside my lives. You guys check that out.
Yes.
But this is good information. If you guys look at it, it's basically, you could pull this. I pulled this up offline. Here's the title right here: Unincorporated Business Organization and Irrevocable Trust Management. You'll be able to find that somewhere. You know what I'm saying? That'll give you some information on how you need to get this done. All right.
That's the route I want to go in because I already signed up to be irrevocable. I thought I messed up because you can't go back in. I heard once it's irrevocable, it's hard to change it. But through this little thing you talking about, I bet you can modify it the way you want to.
Yeah, exactly. Now, we're gonna talk. We're gonna talk outside of this, but that's good information right there that you guys need to have, because in order to do some of these things that you want to do, and it's attainable. You know what I'm saying? It's not. It's a lot of work, but it's attainable if you know where to go look. And like I said, that's why I told Rod to come up here so you guys can actually see the work he's doing and where he's going to go get it. You see what I'm saying? So appreciate you, Rod, coming up here. I'm gonna take a quick break. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna put us in the back and I'm gonna throw up some music, take a quick break. If you want to stay up here, you can. If not, I'm gonna holler at you on the phone, all right?
Yes, sir. I'll holler back at you later. Peace and
All right.
love, everybody.
Peace.
One.
Well, that's kind of in-house private. Okay, what do you mean it's in-house private? When you are advertising and marketing to me about this loan that you have for the public. And I say, okay, I take that. So they say, okay, well, you can take it home. I said, well, I just need to talk to over with my family, and I need to show it to my lawyer. Might have a lawyer, might not have a lawyer. So I say, well, thank you. And then I go take the thing home. I read it all the way through. I actually take the application, I actually fill it out at home. I look at the contract, the application in detail. What I look for is anything that makes me give up any constitutional protected right. The one thing that's going to be on there is anything that's attached to you waiving rights to a jury trial. That's how they hide you giving up constitutional protected rights, is that they're saying that you waive your right to jury trial. It might be on the application, might not be on the application. The other thing that they have on there that must be attached in that application is the appendix or the parts that are governed by the Truth in Lending Act and RESPA. And the main important thing is full disclosure. So I go look up Real Estate Procedures Act. I look up the Truth in Lending Act. I look up the Fair Credit Reporting Act. And then I get those lined up, connected to the Fair Trade Commission. And then the Frank Dodd Act. We have all those things, and I look them up and I take my time. Because usually when you coming in there, they talking fast and they moving fast. Hey, this deal ain't gonna be here forever. There's a lot of people on this car. There's a lot of people. Whoop, whoop, so they're moving you fast. You say, okay, no problem. Remember, you already got money, you got bread, you already know what you want, you already got it in. So it don't matter if they say no or not. You can go somewhere else and do it again until you get the one that will actually work with you. Because you just don't want a bunch of people just running your credit. Is that's what they do? They come in there, here's the application, we need your social security number, ID, and then they running your credit, and then they don't approve you. They ain't already dinged you. But on top of that, what they've done, and this is just me, it's my own conspiracy theory on this one, that every time they run your credit, they're making money off of you that you don't even know about. Full disclosure. That's right. Hurry up and buy. So I take it home. I make sure I correct myself, do everything. I actually take that thing, get it signed and notarized. And I make sure I endorse it, especially so that way it benefits me and it's not in blank. I'm just giving you guys key phrases. It's not endorsed in blank. So that way they cannot utilize and manipulate for themselves. When you come back there with that thing fully notarized, and you come back with somebody that's a witness watching everything go on, and you already have your own copy, you keep the original, you give them the copy. They say, wait a minute, we need the original. No, you don't. Here's the copy. Why you need the original? I'm keeping my originals for me. Here's your copy. Why do you need an original? That's what you would call an authenticated copy. Why? Because I have a witness here and I have a notary that has acknowledged my signature. And I have a witness attachment to it showing that I actually signed it in front of the notary and they witnessed the whole procedures. Here you go. On top of that is it being specially endorsed under certain circumstances. And here you go. Right? Remember, they've already, right? They have already, right? They're offering credit instruments for sale to the general public or individual investors in order to securitize. They're securitizing an agreement. Okay? And where it says right here, where it says that these things are already paid. So it says a company will reach a consensus with other organizations over the issuance of a series of bonds for public sale. Already. A company will reach a consensus with other organizations over the issuance of a series of bonds, and they got it in quotes, for public sale. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go through this. We're going to go through all these things verbatim. Now, once they come back, right? Once they come back, Once they come back and let's say, okay, we take that. So once they take it, then we move forward. You say, well, they said, well, we still need to run your credit and do all that stuff and so on and so forth, see what you qualify for. Okay. All right. So here's the thing. Under the circumstances, you're going to run a soft pull, and you're not going to run a hard pull based on the fact that if I don't qualify, it doesn't go against me if I need to go somewhere else. Well, that's just not the way we do it. Oh, okay. So you're telling me this is the only way it can be done? So you're telling me that this is the way it's going to be done. Well, yeah, well, okay. Go ahead and run the hard pull. You already know that you got an 800, 700 credit score. You got the money. You got everything straight. You got all the information that you need. Right? And you bring in all the physical copies, what they need. They don't need to go online. They don't need to do anything. You've actually done all your due diligence before you even went there to do the transaction. And that's what a lot of people do. Everybody does that. They do not have proper preparation. They come in there by themselves, and all they have really is their ID. And they say, well, we really don't need your social security card. We just need your social security number. And really after that, they say, well, we need to take a picture of this ID and we need to take a picture of this social security number and all that stuff. Well, that's private information. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I'm not going to allow you to take a picture that's private information. What you can do is I can show it to you and you can write it down and all these different type of things, but I'm not giving no copies of anything to you. This is why today they want you to do everything online. Okay, so when we get to the part, right? And let's say you didn't do what I just said, take it home and do all that. Let's say you just go through the whole motions, right? You know you good. And you say, well, they say, well, you qualify for $500,000. We'll go with Nate's $500,000. So you go along with the $500,000. You say you are pre-qualified for $500,000. So you pre-qualified for the fact that how much money you make, what's your debt to income ratio. They pulled your credit. You gave them the social. You gave them your ID. Everything's legit. They saw your last 2 years of taxes or whatever. Everything is good across the board. You clean. They say, yeah, you qualify for $500,000 right now. Oh, what do you say next? Okay, what do we need to do to get you to transfer that money into my account? They be like, hold on. What do you mean? You got to get that. You got to buy the house. You got to get the house first. You got to get it on the contract. You need to do this and do that. Well, no. You just ran my credit. You have all of my private information, everything. And based off that, you said I am approved for $500,000. Can you cut the check? Or what you can do is you can actually take that $500,000 and deposit it into an account, and you can open it up right here is Soul Sister Jackie Brown Trust and Bank, or Bank and Trust. Soul Sister Jackie Bank and Trust. I forgot how I said it. So we do it like that. No, we can't do it like that. No, you got to do this and do that first. Well, you already said I'm pre-approved. So now I'm pre-approved on another condition. What's the condition? Well, it's only able to use for a mortgage. Says who? I'm not using this to make a profit. This is for my own personal and family use, right? That is a key phrase in consumer law. It's not for gain. It's for your own personal family use. You're not doing it for any type of gain. So you can't put me under any type of corporate structure or status. You also, only thing you can have me as is a natural person or a consumer. That's it. even those things are considered to be in legis. You know what I'm saying? Or what they consider to be a human or some type of chattel or cattle or animal bestiality type of thing. But even then, it's still to be that. That's just how their system works. So does that make sense to everybody? If you're pre-approved, if you are approved for $500,000, this is why they like to use the word pre. You're pre-approved. So from pre-approved, then you know how it goes. Cut the check. Why do I got to wait? Okay, so if that's the case, check this out. If I'm pre-approved for the $500,000, here's what I'm going to agree to. You can actually open me up an account at Soul Sister Bank and Trust, and then you can deposit that $500,000 in there, and it can sit. You can get your little fees and your interest, or you can get your interest off of it, do whatever you need to do, but I need it to be specially in there, not general. I don't want these things commingled with the bank. I don't need you doing anything outside that. That thing is specifically is in there for a specific purpose. Right? Special deposit. Right? And it is to be deposited for a specific duty, which is the special instructions that I just gave them. Deposit with special instructions. Those special instructions is this is $500,000 to be deposited in this account, specially for the purchase of a home or land or any other type of residential for my own personal and family use. You guys have that? You underdid? All right, so there we go. Now, if they deny or turn that down after you gave them all your information, guess what? RESPA, Tilla, FCRA, Frank Dodd, a lot of different issues they got going on here, because you already know what they're doing. But what you're doing is getting ahead of them. And you're making sure that you securitize your position, right? You securitize your position instead of them securitizing their position. First in line, first in time. You can go slide that thing under the beep to beep. You can do a lot with that. Now, let me show you how. Right? Let me show you, not how, let me show you why. All right, let me show you why. Let's share the screen here. Let's go to the entire screen. Hold on a sec, people. One break, don't you go nowhere. All right. We're going to share screen. We're going to share the entire screen this time. Entire screen. Bam. Boom. Boom. All right. So, to go over on this real quick, remember I mentioned that seized, right? So, seized is the same thing as with a Z. English law, to be in legal possession of something. So when we looked at this right here, the deed, God damn. I gotta call you back. All right, so where is it at? Okay, transfer private beneficial interest. All right. Remember about the seized here. It's in there somewhere. I ain't about to go looking for it. All right. So look. So that's a part of your deed of trust too as well. Right. So informal, be aware or informed of something. The judge was fully seized of the point. So really, this is what it means right here. Be in legal possession of something. Now let's go over here. We're going to go Article 5. We'll go Article 5 UCC, right? Article 5 UCC, letters of credit. Now, you got to walk with me on this thing. Right? You got to walk with me on this thing. Because if we look right here, securitizing an agreement offering credit instruments for sale. For sale. All right. Article 5, letters of credit. Let's go to definitions. We'll go real quick to definitions. I want you guys to see this real big. Applicant. Applicant means a person at whose request or for whose account a letter of credit is issued. Now, offering credit instruments for sale. Now, if applicant means a person at whose request or for whose account a letter of credit is issued. If I'm an applicant, that means I was issued what? An application. How many applications have we all filled out in our adult life to live, to enjoy, to move around, to get the lights on, to get the AC on, to get a credit card, to get a car, to get a house, to get a this, to get a that, to get a job. Now let's get back over here. I know this is hard to really kind of soak in, but just make common sense. Don't overthink it. Now, watch this. We're going here. Think applicant, application, letter of credit, securitizing an agreement, offering credit instruments for sale to the general public. So right here, a company will reach a consensus with other organizations over the issuance of a series of bonds for public sale. Alternatively, put the company pre-sold the bonds. A bank would be approached by the Wall Street firm, which would typically propose a warehouse line of credit due to the original pooling and service agreement guidelines and purchase agreement. Limitations would apply to the warehouse line prior to and following the agreement's sale to Wall Street. These documents describe the processes, okay? With rules in hand, the bank effectively sought out individuals who met the general criteria of the purchase deal and identify themselves as buyers for the deal. This is why they need that information. They want to know that you're able to pay their debt. So a person at whose request or for whose account, that's powerful right there. A letter of credit is issued. So I come in there, I said, I want to buy a house. What you're saying is I'm requesting a letter of credit. I'm requesting a letter of credit on my account. I'm requesting on my account a letter of credit. That's why they need that social, that ID, and everything else to run with it. Everything is connected, right? ID, date of birth, everything, height. This is you. You're real. Your face is attached to it. Okay, that's you. So security number. Okay, that name matches that. So we could go ahead and put these two together. We have two instruments now that we can utilize in order to verify that there's somebody that is doing what? That is doing what? That meets, you're letting them know you meet the general criteria of the purchase deal. And you're ready to buy what? The publicly offered credit instrument. Now, I'm making this, it's like, damn, it's a lot. But what I'm saying is, yeah, Nate, that's what I'm saying. It's like, people like, well, shit, man, that's too much. But what I'm saying is that, yeah, it might be too much. Don't act like you ain't, it ain't been shared with you to think about it in that form of fashion. You want the thing anyway. So if you want the thing, there's plenty of them out there with their leg and their thumb out on the corners, a curb serving some shit. Why not play with them? It doesn't hurt anything. They're making the offer. This is what it's saying right here. This is a securitization audit that I'm reading you. It's a breakdown of how it goes. Give me the whole breakdown of how this goes. The majority of individuals could meet the guidelines since they were so broad. That means that the bank can actually, depending on where they're at, they can change the rules as they go. This is why this is where the redlining thing comes in our community, because they know that if they work it the way it needs to be worked, they can make it happen. But depending on what zip code and where they're located, who's coming in as the customer, they would play a different type of way because they would like to play with the ones they want to be played. They want to play with, and the other ones they want to beg, or they'll just change the game up and put them in a predatory position where they're paying so much high interest. They already know they ain't going to pay it back. And those are losses that they will continue to have anyway, but it's not a loss to them. They've already got paid, right? Pre-sold. Warehouse line of credit. So there we go. Now I'm gonna give you something else. Right? So we saw what an applicant is, right? That's what an applicant is. Now, read this. Document means a draft or other demand document of title, investment security, certificate, invoice, or other record. Remember what they was talking about here? Remember what they was talking about here? The following section is provided for comparison purposes. For example, comparing a security to a loan or mortgage, to allow for background information, to compare to other security interests, court cases, certificates, personal identifiers. All right? What does this say what a document is? Draft or other demand, document of title, investment, security, certificate, invoice, or other record, statement or representation of fact, law, right, or opinion, which is presented in a written or other medium permitted by the letter of credit. So that application is like, we all thinking that an application is like, shit, let me go and fill this out. It's my information. That's it. Bam, here you go. Shit, they looking at this like they don't even know what they got. This is like taking candy from a baby. And how many they running a day? This is what an application is. It's an applicant, application, letter of credit, and a document, right? So the document is the language that's which on that title called application, right? It's called loan application, but it's a document because it's a draft or other demand. It's a draft or other demand. Document of title. Remember, I read you what a draft is in regards to promissory notes and so on and so forth in the deed of trust. Document of title, investment security, right? Certificate, invoice, or other record, statement or representation of fact, law, right, or opinion, which is represented in a written or other medium permitted by the letter of credit. All right. We got the letter of credit there, but we're gonna go down. Yeah, that's it right there. That's it right there. Right? That's why you get these things notarized. And the nominated person, this is key. This is UCC 5-102. This is UCC 5-102, Article 5. Okay, Article 5. All right, let me give you another one. We're gonna go to Article 3. All right, go to Article 3. All right, endorsement. Endorsement means a signature other than that of a signer as maker, drawer, or acceptor. Right? So your endorsement is a signature, right? When you sign it, it's an endorsement. But if you sign as maker, drawer, or acceptor, then it's not considered a signature, right? More, you have that alone or accompanied by other word is made on an instrument. We got that. For the purposes of negotiating the instrument. We got that. Tying us together, right? Applicant, application, letters of credit. We got our publicly offered. Right? Credit instruments, right? Nor securitizing an agreement, right? So just throwing it out there. The agreement is going to get securitized, but who's in control? So negotiating the instrument, restricting payment of the instrument, okay? Or incurring endorser's liability on the instrument. But regardless of the intent of the signer, a signature and its accompanying words is an endorsement unless the accompanying words, terms of the instrument, place of the signature, or other circumstances unambiguously indicate that the signature was made for a purpose other than endorsement. See, the other thing that isn't on the securitization audit, I have other ones, but that's just going to take all kind of things because it'll tell you about what type of endorsement it is, right? We're going to get to that next. So now let's go back here. 3, incurring endorser's liability on the instrument, right? So usually when you walk up out of there, you are liable for payment of the debt. You are obligated and nobody else, and you indemnify them from any liability or any payment. You're taking on all of the responsibilities. And at the same time, transferring over rights and title entail, right? You got possession of the thing, but they have the interest on it, on the money side. So basically what you're doing is you're laboring on that land for 30 years. And you're utilizing that automobile. You got to fix it up, change the oil. You got to do all that stuff. You're driving it around. You got to get to work, whatever you got to do. And they making the money off of you. Have you guys ever thought about that? Have you ever thought about it that way? That's the way I look at things. I'm not paying you if I don't have to. I mean, what am I getting out of it? Oh, well, you got a new car. Yeah. But I know as soon as I don't make that payment, that car gone. See? This is what we got to understand. So let's get back to it. So this is how endorsement comes in. So I was talking about the endorsements with the brothers. Is that when you get into this, right? If you endorse properly, now this ain't me talking. This is Article 3 of the Uniform Commercial Code, 204, subsection 3. Incurring endorser's liability on the instrument, but regardless of the intent of the signer, a signature and its accompanying words is an endorsement unless the accompanying words, terms of the instrument, place of the signature, or other circumstances unambiguously. That means it's out front. You're not hiding it. It's there. You're doing it right in front of them. It's there. Indicate that the signature was made for a purpose other than endorsement. For the purpose of determining whether a signature is made on an instrument, a paper affixed to the instrument is a part of the instrument. For the purpose of determining whether a signature is made on an instrument, a paper affixed to the instrument is a part of the instrument. Endorser means a person who makes an endorsement. For the purpose of determining whether the transferee of an instrument is a holder, an endorsement that transfers a security interest in the instrument, right? Transfers a security interest in the instrument is effective as unqualified endorsement of the instrument. An endorsement that transfers a security interest in the instrument is effective as an unqualified endorsement of the instrument. So under the circumstances, right, we go over here. We go over here. We go to page 1. I should get the California one. Right. Here we go, right here. Now let's go back. Let's read it real quick. For the purpose of determining whether transferee of an instrument is a holder, an endorsement that transfer a security interest in the instrument is effective as an unqualified endorsement of the instrument. So if your language in here is saying that transfer of rights in the property, and it says this security instrument secures the lender. And then 2, the performance of borrower's covenants and agreements under the security instrument and the note. For this purpose, borrower irrevocably grants and conveys the trustee in trust with the power of sale the following described property located in the boop, the boop, the boo. All right. So what does that mean? That's what that means. Now, let's go to this. Special endorsement, blank endorsement, anomalous endorsement. And then we can wrap it up. If an endorsement is made by the holder of an instrument, whether payable to an identified, I'm looking at the chat. All right. If an endorsement is made by the holder, we got a clear idea what the endorsement is. Is made by the holder of an instrument, whether payable to an identified person or payable to bearer, and the endorsement identifies a person to whom it makes the instrument payable, it is a special endorsement. Let me read that again. If an endorsement is made by the holder of an instrument, whether payable to an identified person or payable to bearer, when you hear this sentence, it's telling you what to say. About that simple. Payable to Soul Sister Bank and Trust. Payable to Aton. Payable to, you see? That is a special endorsement. Or it's just payable to bearer. That's another thing. And the endorsement identifies a person to whom it makes the instrument payable. It is a special endorsement. When specially endorsed, remember, special deposit, general deposit, deposit with specific instructions. Just remember that. We're talking about the donor, donate. We're talking about all this. Keep that as your foundation when you're understanding that. It's how you dictate the program. When specially endorsed, an instrument becomes payable to the identified person. When that said becomes payable immediately. When specially endorsed, an instrument becomes payable to the identified person and may be negotiated only by the endorsement of that person. So when I specially endorse that thing, ain't no more negotiations. Done. They can't say yay or nay. Why? Because they already made the offer. I know what it is. It's not just a piece of paper with words on it called application. This thing has something that is more into it. So if I know what it is, I want to get in on it. Okay, so that's what it is. Yeah, I don't mind paying you your service fees or whatever else you're talking about, but it's got to be fit. It's got to be on even level, even play. But in this matter, this is what it's saying. It's not saying anything different. It's just what it's saying. So let me read this again. When specially endorsed, an instrument becomes payable to the identified persons. It may be negotiated only by the endorsement of that person. So I can negotiate that. Okay, what we doing here? Because I'm the one that's signing. Even before I sign, he'd be like, okay, well, what's your interest? What you getting? What's your service fees? What we got going on from this instrument right here? Because we ain't even got to the deed of trust. This is the note. This is the letter of credit. There's other things that are being done. If you're buying a house, you got to pull in the service agreement for a car, and you got to what you would call it a deed of trust or a security deed, and that's a pull in the service agreement as well. It's all the same thing. It's just depending on what venue you're in. Now, it also says that the principles stated in section 3110 apply to special endorsements. So let's see what that is. Identification of person to whom instrument is payable. The person to whom an instrument is payable is initially payable is determined by the intent of the person, whether or not authorized, signing as, or in the name or behalf of the issuer of the instrument. Now, that's complex. We ain't about to do all that. The instrument is payable to the person intended by the signer, even if that person is identified in the instrument by name or other identification that is not that of the intended person. So that means that you can sign it over to who? You can make it payable to whoever you want. It's the intent of what you want to do. Now down here it says if more than one person signs in the name or behalf of the issuer of an instrument and all of the signers do not intend the same person as payee, the instrument is payable to any person intended by one or more of the signers. All right. So that's what it's governed by. Now, let's go to B. If an endorsement is made by the holder of an instrument and it is not a special endorsement, it is a blank endorsement. When endorsed in blank, an instrument becomes payable to bearer and may be negotiated by transfer of possession alone until specially endorsed. When endorsed in blank, an instrument becomes payable to bearer and may be negotiated by transfer of possession alone until specially endorsed. So if you don't do the things that is required in the special endorsement, as what A says, it is considered a blank endorsement. But you can put a special endorsement on it later if you don't do it at that time. This is why most of the time you will never find the original. When you request original instruments, they won't do that. They won't provide that. When endorsed in blank, an instrument becomes payable to bearer. It may be negotiated by transfer of possession alone until specially endorsed. So it only becomes payable until you specially endorse it. But it can be negotiated by transfer of possession alone until specially endorsed. So it can't be moved until you put the special endorsement on there. Now, C, the holder may convert a blank endorsement that consists only of a signature into a special endorsement by writing above the signature of the endorser words identifying the person to whom the instrument is made payable. All right. All right. All right. So under the circumstances, what we're going to do right now, we're going to stop it right there. We had 3 hours. Clap it up for me. I did pretty good. I was on time. So boom, we're going to check out. My man Draco beat on me that he did for me. And then we're going to close out with our last two like we normally do. And peace to everybody. Appreciate you guys. Oh, yeah, no doubt. No doubt. All day. We're going to get that in, man. Play that back, brother, man. Like I said, you got any questions, hit me up in the message box. I think I put my email in there. Y'all can email me. And, yeah, we're going to check out. Appreciate you chilling with me all day, Soul Sister Jackie Brown. One of these days, you're going to have to come up here and yell at me a few times like you know how to do. And but ask me questions while you're yelling at me. Don't move it. Yeah. Don't move it. Don't move it. Don't move it.
I'm the coach, quotes coded in oak with a ghost loaded focus. Chrome in the coat, king with the cloak, smoking that hocus pocus. Infinite styles, pivot and pile up the mileage. I'm wild with the science. You see the line on my avatar, iron jaw pride. I to devour the silence. Why you niggas steady lying? Got me laughing hard, satire and fraud. I fire the squad. Wise get crossed when I'm sparring with all the guards. Author of art, carving a mark in the bark of the market at large. Target the sharks, heart of a
Don't move it. Don't move it. Don't move it.
I'm the coach, quotes coded in oak with a ghost loaded focus. Chrome in the coat, king with the cloak, smoking that hocus pocus. Infinite styles, pivot and pile up the mileage. I'm wild with the science. You see the line on my avatar, iron jaw pride. I to devour the silence. Why you niggas steady lying? Got me laughing hard, satire and fraud. I fire the squad. Wise get crossed when I'm sparring with all the guards. Author of art, carving a mark in the bark of the market at large. Target the sharks, heart of a Spartan. I sharpen the margin with bars. You rather bargain and dodge. I'd rather you come get your taxes done. Black suit back, room facts in a stack. I'm relaxing the maximum. Get out of the pocket, the profit of rocket. Then I just might tax you punks. Bracket your funds, I'm stacking in chunks. Reacting to acid, you're begging a punch. Sometimes my community hard-headed, scarred, dreading the lessons. I chart head and start spreading the message, embedded in pressure. Sovereign living, I'm private with it. No corporate percentage. Discharging debt with a pen stroke. You still don't notice the vision. I've been telling y'all you don't want to debate me. Weighty and ready. Great with machetes, linguistically shredding the petty. Grab these 15 acres. Landscape major, plan made paper. Land patent stamped and sacred since my campaign greater. I ain't talking about Ice-T when I say that I can show you law and order. Court recorder, I sort the torture, contort the border. I eat the case, beat the state, leave a trace of the raw supporter. Briefcase aura, got your baby mama thinking that I'm a lawyer. Seminole Indian sentiment, militant on sovereign soil. Private enrollment, tribal component. I'm the boss if you're trying to employ it.
Gosh, baby, infinite.
I can get your land back. Yeah, I can discharge your debt. You gotta live by 5 principles before we just connect. Cause you could pose as my friend and then really be the threat. Like Brutus Lee Julius to the dudes that killed Malcolm X.
Get your hand out of my pocket! Get your hand out of my pocket, nigga! Get your hand out of my pocket! Get your hand out of my pocket! Please.
Y'all think getting remedies important. We make your lawyers lose their indemnity insurance. King Chameleon, private, I don't wanna be popular. Grandpapa, Hunk Papa, Mama Black Mafia. Yeah, we them big owners holding rank. You call Rocket Lawyer, I call the owner of the bank. He in the private at the temple, like Ginobili in the paint. And we got 3 militaries, we might be rolling in some tanks. While you balancing with a check gross, going to work for debt notes. Overtime all your life paying mortgages, then you left broke. Damn. Shout out to Mayweather, who's obviously woke. He settled $18 million with a promissory note. I'm not your corporation's chattel, this world gotta be a joke. Blind leading the blind, so we never gonna see.
But I tell you what, I don't know about you, but I'm going to go to bed.
Everybody fake woke while the president is asleep. So I introvert myself, cause it's evident to me. No one saves us but us. Buddha said it in BC. No title deeds, or just reference the evidence to me. Man, you don't own it, you a tenant, and it says it on your deed. You said with a sign, but didn't take the time to even read. There's gotta be an idiocracy. They call you crazy as Kanye, just for thinking logically. 2 million nationals backing us to stop who ain't stopping me. For instance, when Columbus came over here, they admitted Native Americans was already there. But if our kids take a test on who discovered land we on, and you say Native Americans, you get the question wrong. Don't lie to us, you are just a colonist. Can't hide the truth, we got all the proof from the anthropologists. We know the system, now it's time to get up out of it. But it's our fault, cause we fought so hard to be a part of it.
Now, I will never say that progress is being made. If you stick a knife in my back 9 inches and pull it out 6 inches, there's no progress. You pull it all the way out, that's not progress. The progress is healing the wound that's a blow made. And they haven't even begun to pull a knife out, much less try and heal the wound. They won't even admit the knife is there.
All people trying to burn us, out and selling services with disclaimers, saying that it ain't for legal purposes. No cash, broke ass, internet burglars with temporary schemes and a lot of fraudulent dreams. Yeah, we got our own embassy, we got our own consulate, foreign administrations, and 3 armies on top of it. We live by 5 principles, but we'll die for this. Freedom back to the people, protect them from the apocalypse. I took that title that they gave me and I clouded it. That's what you say, sets the Cuban. I got a bond with this. My way of thinking pissed the military off. I ain't with they way of thinking, roll the military law. We coming peaceful outside the mosque and the cathedral, and will resort to violence. I gotta protect my people. They call us ghetto, they call us thugs. The only God they worship, guns, oil, and drugs. I'm on the block, Martin Luther King was shot, holding a gun that killed Kennedy, trying to find a remedy. You can't cancel me nor censor me, but chancery is sensory, God-like energy to infinity. My actions are my testament. I got a lot of questioning. How Ben Frank was on 100 but was never president. You broke, you go to jail. You got money, you get right out. They lock you up for drugs, but they got coke in the White House. What?